Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 523, and today we're doing battle with Seku's World's Dragons deck. And so, our first battles, since Worlds, our first battles in a while actually. If you can't tell by the difference in sound of my voice, I've been a touch under the weather under the past week and a half or so, and hoping to get the content back up and running, hopefully have this sickness beat down just a little bit. Similar to how we'll be beating down today. But nonetheless, this is to me the darling deck to come out of Worlds. No one was surprised to see Elder Dragon Norra pop up. No one was surprised to see the various flavors of Mordekaiser Morgana pop up. But what were we going to see in terms of new decks outside of that? Was there going to be some kind of big and interesting new technology coming out that a team had stored up and didn't unleash on the ladder? And not really, right? The Shyvana Elder Dragon deck was really it. This is the only one that didn't have a major ladder presence that also had a big impact on Worlds. And, it's kind of exciting to me in the sense that it's also the only Elder Dragon deck at Worlds that was really playing the full 3 copies of Elder Dragon. And so, props to Seku. He had a very fantastic run. I know we've encountered him quite a few times on the ladder, and so it's good to see some of those NA folks come out there and get some big success, even if we were unable to take down the event on the whole. But nonetheless, the Shyvana Dragons deck, a fairly straightforward board-centric style of deck. If you're not familiar with what this deck is going to do, you're going to get down an early game challenger to threaten your opponent's important units, and so you're not planning on winning too much of the early game, but you do need to be able to shut down a Norra, shut down an early game champion that has some relevance to the board. And so we have the Lieutenant and the Pioneer to hold that down, and then we're going to try and overwhelm our opponent with more stats than they're able to produce. And so the big collection of dragons tend to just be bigger than anything else our opponents is doing, even if our opponents are doing the big Elder Dragon things of this format, right? If your opponent is out here playing Plaza Guardians, getting the boon bonuses onto the Guardians, our units are still just bigger than that, right? Cloud Drake is bigger, Screeching Dragon can be bigger with a Fury hit, and then the Gentle Gem Dragon is here to boost the size of our entire team and really help our units grow. Now this deck still has that kind of classic problem that unit-based decks run into in Runeterra, to where you have to be able to elusive, overwhelm, or rally, and Dragon Guard Lookout is what really brings that rally forth to the deck. This is the one I was kind of most impressed with in terms of what we got out of the new set and the Dragons decks actually working, with the Elder Dragon tying in with the Dragon Guard Lookout. To me, the Cloud Drake cheapening all of the units and the Dragon Guard Lookout providing the rallies is exactly what Shyvana needed to come up into relevance. But to me, spoiler alert, I still don't think this is very impressive. But nonetheless, the main concern that this deck runs into outside of the elusive, overwhelm, or rally is what to do in terms of trying to play multiple cards in the same turn. My historic problem with the decks like Dragons is you run into these curves to where you have a Shyvana, you have a Screeching Dragon, you have a Cloud Drake, you have an Enraged Fire Spitter, you have a Gentle Gem Dragon. You can get one good play onto the board, but more than anything, you need to be able to play 2 cards within the same turn. And so this deck does alleviate a bit of that problem. The Cloud Drake is here to cheapen up the cost of units within our hand, and then it is playing this monstrous package of 8 strikes, the 3 single combats, the 3 strafing strikes, the 2 gentlemen's duels, to be in this space to where hopefully on turn 6 or turn 7 or so we can play a 5 mana Enraged Fire Spitter, maybe clean up a unit with the 2 damage ping, and then also still be able to play a strike after the fact so that we can still interact on the board. But nonetheless, hey, the deck has dragons in it. Everybody loves a good dragon, and so that's what we're doing battle with today. But before the battles begin, you know what we got to do. We got to come out. We got to pay that pay-to-win price, and it is going to be on the Dragon Allegiant. Welcome to Premium Land, my friend. I hope you only draw us the most perfect of dragons today, and let's get you on into battle. And so, yeah, as far as these go, I typically try to do between like 5 and 8 games, get up within an hour. I'm not going to make it that far today. Today we're going to play 3 games and call it a day, and that's where it's going to be. And so, yeah, if you're not familiar with, being around kids or having kids or that kind of thing, here's basically what happens, right? The kids, they go to school, they fucking cough all over everything, they pick their noses and eat it, they go to the bathroom. Bunch of savages like you listeners probably go to the bathroom, you don't wash your hands, you come back out, start high-fiving your buddies, just a fucking plague factory. And so we had a family get-together like last weekend. It's been almost 10 days now. And had a bunch of little plague factories come over from all of the different segments of school. There were some pre-K kids here. There were some elementary kids here. There were some middle school kids here. There were some high school kids here, just fucking spreading plague back and forth. And we caught quite a bit of it. And so essentially what happened was the kiddo got it first. He got COVID and didn't have it too bad, but definitely was the kind of kickoff point for the family. And then the wife got sick, thought she had COVID, didn't. She just had some fresh kind of migraine kind of situation. Got that dealt with, and then as soon as like we got that finished up, I think my body knew. It was kind of like one of these situations to where you have like the mom that lifts the van up out of the ditch to get her kids out of the car wreck or something. It was like as soon as the wife kind of like briefly recovered from her sickness, my body was like, fuck you, that was it. That was that was what we were waiting for. Here you go. And so I just had like 2-3 days of like sinus infection that was just a real pain in the ass. And then once we made it through that, we're kind of in the clear now. And so I'm hoping to be kind of okay from this point forward in terms of being able to make the content and getting things up and running, but I can already tell my voice isn't going to make it too far today, and so this kind of is what it is, you know. But alright, as far as this board goes, I want to get the Kennen off the board. This is the important unit. If he has the single mana recall in hand, it kind of sucks, because dropping Gentleman's Duel in this space is really what we're kind of stuck doing here. And if he gets just this massive trade set to where he trades his 1 mana spell for our 3 and gets the damage on our unit and all this garbage, it's going to be a real problem, but I think we have to at least hammer onto that Kennen so he can't just manhandle the rest of our boards. So he's gone. He's just going to immediately follow up with another Kennen or something. It kind of is what it is. This is just an all-around bad spot to be in. We're really hoping to get some like 2-for-1s off of that challenger unit, right? Being able to say challenge the Vestayan Disciple and then get a trade in afterwards or something. Being in this spot to where we're playing on curve, we're just going to get annihilated by Ahri here today. And so this is kind of tough. Like, I kind of wish I had 5 or 10 games of practice before we really got into this one. As to whether or not we should just be like leaving the Ahri Kennen up, because we can interact with Ahri and Kennen, right? We can come out and actually block with those, but we don't have anything to do in terms of these elusives, which is what's actually causing the problem right now. And, you know, it's tough. I think it's probably better to just go after the champion since there's such a high-powered play in this space, but I can definitely see the argument for going after the elusives instead. Alright, this is fine. This is a fairly mana-heavy play. I'm curious if we actually want to go ahead and go for the Strafing Strike now. Like, I was kind of interested in the Strafing Strike given that we already have these Gem Dragons in hand. And that was going to give us that 2-spell play next turn, right? We could play a Gem Dragon, play a Strafing Strike, but I think getting this Disciple off the board is going to be pretty important. Let's just go ahead and try and get the takedown. Like, what tends to really give Ahri Kennen based decks a lot of struggle is if they just run out of shit to do. And so if you're not like getting the card draw off the Vestayan Disciples, if you're not getting the card draw off of like recalls on Dancing Droplets, then you all around just tend to suffer quite a bit. And so you know, he does still have 6 cards in hand at this point, but hopefully that's something we're able to kind of shut down here a little bit. And then a strong addition with the Challenger on the Gem Dragon. Again, not a ton we can do here. He should be able to tempo us out the rest of the way. But picking up Challenger is quite strong against these elusive units. You have to try and do something, right? We're not ending this game for another 5 turns, and so we have to try and get these elusives off of the board where we can. Rage Fire Spitter, not a bad draw. Another Challenger to try and shut this stuff down. Probably still have to go for the Ahri. The Ahri's like a little bit of a pain point now, though, in the sense that if he takes a recall, she's just going to flip. So I think we have to Fire Splitter one of these other dum-dums. Gonna go with go with the Fearsome here. There is a world to where we get some kind of Fearsome attack rolling through, and he's not able to kill us next turn, and so we'll see if that plays itself out. Yeah, very, very rough spot for us to be in here. Except impact on Burblefish. This one's just done. This one's just done. GG. Very tough match. All right, on to the next one. Woohoo! Yeah, I know. I know I don't sound that great, but I'm definitely feeling so much better. And it's been a bummer. Like I've been really hyped to really dive into Runeterra, and it's just like I've had such brain fog. Like I don't want to just sit around and fucking think, right? And so I've been playing quite a bit of Teamfight Tactics because you can just turn it on and watch the big battles happen and watch all the flashy shit happen across the screen. I've been keeping up a little bit with Standard, getting a few games in each day, but you know it's tough. It's tough to fight through. Man, I was curious if we should try and Q dodge this. I know it's just early in the day for me, and this is just what you're going to run into at this hour. Maybe we'll try and get 4 games in, but not a bad start with the double Dragon Guard Lieutenant. Again, gives us something to try and shut down a bit of the opponent's early game. Just such a easy matchup for us to get tempoed out of, though. Like we try to play a 5-drop and it gets stunned. We play a 6-drop, it gets recalled, and then if our cheap 2-mana plays haven't done anything, then we're just so super far behind. Alright, early Kennen rolling through. It's got the whole team, huh? Let's just pass through this.
The forest surrounds us.
Alright, nothing crazy happening now. We'll get both challengers down. But again, it's a bit of a bummer with these Dragon Guard Lieutenants. I don't really want to just hook Ahri. We have to be using these Pioneers and try and be getting 2-for-1s out here. I'll pick up the Blunder. Maybe we'll be able to do something with the mini Quicksand, but tough going. Feels like a reasonable pass. This Ahri's not super important at the moment, so I think we can get another unit down, get a Explorer's Blunder down, and then try and get some big challenges on the next attack. But the thing I will say with this space is I don't really want to be spending the strikes here. Like, playing a strike off of the Ruined Dragon Guard is fine. I don't want to be playing strikes off of our challengers, right? Our challengers are the way that we already have to get invested in this combat. And so I don't want to be, like, putting the damage on these units when we don't have to. Now, this feels like a bait, playing the Dancing Droplet first. This is kind of his premier elusive unit. But if we pass, he's able to just take this attack. Like, it's not good for us if he just gets to take the free hit with Ahri and the Droplet. So I think it's worth a skip. That worked out okay. Sure. Looks like our lieutenant's about to fall. Have to imagine this Kennen's coming back to hand and then right back on board. Nope, not yet. Alright, that at least gives us a chance to make an action here. So I'll get the Dragon Guard Lieutenant down now. We can potentially pop off next turn, having mana for the Gentleman's Duel along with the Rally. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But the important thing here is he's not going to have time to get another Kennen on board, right? I guess you could play... Is that landmark still in the game? The landmark that copies a unit? I'm not entirely certain if it is or not.
Prepare for battle. Ready weapons. No reinforcement.
Let's get it started. Would not be surprised to see a Wuju style or something come in, but making trades at this point's not that bad. We're getting some pretty good combats across the board. Like, the bummer with Wuju styles, he's able to say, boost the dancing droplet on attack and then boost Ahri on defense, and then we don't get the kill on her. Retreat's fine. Okay, pretty good turn. It's been nice keeping this Kennen actually on board, protecting our Dragon Guard. So is this the turn we go for it? We go for the rally. The downside with the rally this turn is we're not able to produce a kill next turn, right? So we can get some pretty good challenges and get some board clear, but we're not actually able to get in a win. And so I'm curious if we shouldn't drop the Gentle Gem Dragon, and then next turn try and go for the rally kind of play. Say, and Thousand Tailed, that's fucking expensive.
Sign in. Your arrival honors us all.
Let's see, pick up Impact. It's not Deathless. Deathless would be the big one here. If you're not familiar with Deathless on Saiyan, it dies and comes back, and then he gets the plus bonus and the card draw off of it again. So this is, like, I'm leaning towards Challenger, just to threaten that we can interact with his stuff. It's just a very easy unit to get stunned. Like, I could see an argument for going for Tough if we're going to block the Saiyan Thousand Tailed, but it's going to have, like, that same Wuju style potential for +2 attack. And then it's just easily getting the kill in front of the dragon. This is pretty tempting to just let go. I don't think we need to play the Gentleman's Duel on the Disciple. Now we have a pretty good open next turn into a rally. Here's Ahri. Yeah, she's one recall away from flipping.
To arms! Prepare for battle!
Alright, let's see what happens. Recalls on Kennen. I don't think we actually care about that.
My search is over. Now I hunt.
He seems fairly far away from doing a bunch of shenanigans. And then, like, we can maybe get to lethal here. Things like the Shimon Wind make this pretty challenging in the sense that if he's only able to add one unit to the board, we can get the double hooks and then try and get the close with the Dragon Guard Lookout, but I don't think that's going to be a thing. Just too easy for him to add a bunch of units.
Elder Dragon, I am your destiny.
Fire Spitter would have been very juicy if it only cost 5 mana.
The hunt eternal. Captivating.
I don't think he has enough to quite go for the Ahri kill. Right, if you're not familiar, the way Ahri typically wins the games is she gets these big elusive attacks in, so she chains across all of the elusives. He's only at 9 right now. I think we can pass. Just feels like if we play Gentleman's Duel onto Ahri, she's getting recalled 100% of the time. Kind of sucks to let him take a 3-bank, but I don't think the single spell is quite enough to fight through here. Okay.
Too slow.
Trying to get a Kennen flip? Is that what's happening? It's only his second Burblefish, though. Man, I wonder what spells are in the Ionia kit, right? The Burblefish is always interesting in terms of it only generates from your own factions. And so, like, when you're playing the Norra version, you're very likely to hit the Vandal City Tellstones and hit things like Group Shot. This deck is just very, very likely to hit recall, which is quite interesting for the Burblefish and what opponent's trying to do here. He keeps that 1 mana behind. We're gonna get popped by a recall here. So I'm gonna. Oh no! Damn it! We could have used this. No. Here's the recall, anyways. I was concerned with this in the sense that if we play the Screeching Dragon and then he has a meditate, then we're not enough to get the kill. But I guess that worked out okay. Deathless, very, very interesting for our rally unit. We'll see if we can't make something happen with that. Have the Lookout come back and get the second hook in. I don't think it's going to be a thing, but I do want to force him into trying to attack here. Right, as it stands, if he's just doing elusive stuff with Ahri, he's only at 9 damage. Now we can have +2 attack onto Ahri and then hit for 15, but as far as the board stands right now, we're okay. I mean, all he has to worry about is a single combat at this point. Feels like he's deciding if he wants to stun or something, but it seems like this should be a pretty free win at this space for the opponent, especially if he has like deny plus a combat trick. Interesting. Was not expecting to get to attack. Do something like this. Sucks being a point short of the lethal. Like, you know, I don't think we have to preemptively form up, but it's certainly not awesome. Okay. So now he's still in this weird spot to where if he's attacking into our Dragon Guard Lookout, we can just block. And so we'll see if that brings itself something together here.
Start running. So many places to hide. This is Tempest.
Not gonna hit with the other one. Might be okay to just drop the block in anyways. Go ahead and put the damage on the Lookout so if he blocks it next turn, it's kinda kinda likely to die. I had to check with the Fire Spitter to see if it was able to hit anything. That could have been another interesting spot. If we could have Fire Spittered onto our Dragon Guard Lookout to get the kill on it.
I possess the secrets of Kinku.
So the interesting thing here, like he's got the dancing droplet. I was gonna say everything that we have is a must block at this point, and so like all of his units have to block the lookout, but they can't potentially kill it. But now that he has the dancing droplet, that's a problem. The same problem. I don't think there's much reason to take the heal, right? We're never surviving an attack next turn. There's no reason to heal here. He knows the angle. He's just gonna replay it. At least in this space, we can hook the dancing droplet with our big dragon, and use that as an angle to try and catch a rally. I think we're still gonna end up being short here. He's gonna have too many blockers for this attack, but worth a shot, you know.
Who will master who?
Let me see your
All right, let's see what happens. See if we can't potentially clear out some of these big blockers as well, and then maybe get a fearsome attack in. I don't think we're gonna have enough challengers for a fearsome, but we'll see. He just picked up the recall for the Kennen. It makes sense. Hi, GG. All right. My brain is wanting to do a fourth battle, but my voice is saying no. And so we're going to get one more game in. I wish we could have got more in. Like, I'm not upset that we had to play against Ahri Kennen twice. Well, I'm upset we had to play against it twice for the terms of the video, but if we were just out here laddering, I wouldn't have minded it. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I definitely feel a lot better though. Like compared to like yesterday to today has been a pretty big improvement. The 2 days ago to yesterday has been a pretty big improvement, and so I'm pretty certain we'll be back at it. Now we are running right up into Christmas, and so Christmas will also interfere with our content creation stuff, but it is what it is. All right, up against Norra, Elder Dragon. Let's see what we got. Nothing in terms of early game stuff. I'm going to look for some of these challengers. If I played this matchup a lot more, there is some argument for hanging on to single combat just as a way to take down Norra, but at the end of the day, I don't think she's super important. All right, no twos turned up, no challengers turned up. Bit of a bummer, but we at least have the Dragon Guard to play next turn. Doesn't seem like opponent has a Norra though. Rip Elder Dragon.
Do they still mourn? Do they even
It surprised me to see that card pop up so much. It's such a terrible card. Like, I get it. I understand a lot of the matchups to where you actually want it, but it still just feels like garbage to me. But this is a pretty bad turn for us. It's tempting to just go ahead and drop the Gentleman's Duel onto the Conchologist. Like, again, we're gonna play the Screeching Dragon into Cloud Drake and just have mana on top of mana. There's not a ton of units he can really add to the board at this point, so we'll go ahead and try and get the takedown. There's not a ton of high-valued units in this deck to be getting strikes on anyways. Oh boy, just playing all the early birds, huh? Okay. That's who we like to see in the face of the early birds. Get our Dragon Allegiant on board. If you wanna spend your mana doing nothing, I just gotta catch up a little bit with a touch of card advantage. more removals for the Dragon Guard.
Elder Dragon, I am your destiny. Noxians are not the monsters they make us out to be.
Alright, Broadbane makes a bit of sense in that angle, having the extra 2 damage. I assumed this Dragon Guard was definitely going to be dying this turn, but... Oh god, fucking double removal. It's a disaster. Okay. That's gonna be painful. I mean, at least he is down to 2 cards at this point. He spent so much of his time playing worthless early birds that it can be kind of tough to recover from that point. So just immediately draws Plaza Guardian, of course. Why not, my friend? Why not? So I think we're stuck adding in Shyvana. We'll have to take the 6-piece off of the Plaza Guardian. It's okay. We're not at a ton of risk of dying here. And then we're gonna have to try and get some value out of the Gem Dragon. He's got us set up for the Riptide Rex turn here, so we'll see if that's what he was able to put together. But yep. That game was done with the Broadmane. Like, we could have survived the Riptide Rex if the Broadmane wasn't on board. Like, we were definitely stat heavy enough to fight through that, but having the double fast speed removal spell to counter our spell, that's the point the game ended. So, nonetheless, GG's. Still seeing people play early bird cracks me up. It did absolute fuck all that game, but nonetheless. So you got to see the Dragon's deck. Again, like, I'm not huge on this. I'm curious to the level of success that Seku actually had with this in terms of what was running through the event. I know that this was like a very commonly banned deck in terms of his lineup. He was playing Poro King, he was playing Nico, Warden of the Tribes, and he was playing this. And I know people banned this out a lot, and I think that might just be because it was the kind of new deck, right? It's a deck that you didn't test again. You didn't do a ton of testing against dragons, and you're just like, well, I'll play the matchups that I've already played 1,000 games against and leave this off the board. But to me, it just suffers through like the classic Shyvana problems as to where if you're playing against a bunch of mid-range matchups, you can do fine. If you're playing against a bunch of aggro matchups, you can do fine if you draw your cards in the right order. But decks that tend to be a little bit slower, you just can't play against anything that can take tempo down, right? And so as you're out here trying to play a 5-drop into a 6-drop into a 7-drop, and your opponent's like, LOL, I can stop your play for 4 mana. It just completely shuts everything down. And so, like, I'm just not impressed with how this played out. I'm quite, excited and happy to see that he got to go so far with the Dragon's deck and the lineup. It just strikes me as not being that particularly strong of a deck. But nonetheless, if you want a dragon, I don't blame you. That's very, very common thing to want to be doing. But nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too. That is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bust and Me. Thank you for being here.